Well, hey there, kiddos. Here is our video on standard form. Of all of the forms that we've learned, this is my least favorite because I feel like it is the least useful, but we have to know it, so here we go. You have this pretty little diagram on the front that goes through all of the forms, and so slope-intercept form we remember is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. And we use slope-intercept form whenever we want to graph something on our calculator. Whenever we're given the slope and the y-intercept, that's the one that we use the most often. And then there's point-slope form, which is probably the easiest to deal with. In point-slope form, m is still the slope. And then you have a point on the line, which is represented by your x1, y1. And we use point-slope form whenever we're given a point on the line and the slope, and then we can put it in point-slope form, and it's very easy to transform into slope-intercept if we want to graph. It's also very easy to graph from point-slope. If we ever have to do that, I'll talk to you about it. And then there's standard form, which looks like this: ax plus by equals c. And so the things that you need to know are a, b, and c are integers. A has to be, that's totally Daphne's fault, pardon the noise. A has to be a number greater than 0, which means it has to be positive. And the last thing that you need to know is that A and B cannot both be 0. One of them can, but not the other. If they're both 0, then you don't have an equation because you have no x and no y. So those are the things you need to know. There are two ways to approach using standard form, which we'll talk about when we graph towards the end, but there are some shortcuts we're going to learn first, and I love this shortcut. I don't ever solve an equation for y without using my shortcut. So the first one is, how can you get slope from the standard form? Well, this is what standard form looks like: ax plus by equals c. And to get slope from standard form, what I would have to do is I would have to get the y by itself, so that this was in y equals mx plus b form, so that then I could see where the slope was, so it's the number in front of the x. And so the shortcut that you need to remember, the slope from standard form, is the opposite of the a value divided by b. So whatever a is, you do the opposite of that divided by b. To get the y-intercept from standard form, you take the c and divide it by b. And to get the x-intercept from standard form, you take your ax plus by equals c, and if you want to get the x-intercept, you cover up the y value, and so you have ax equals c, so you just do c divided by a. That will give you the x-intercept. The easiest way to get intercepts, though, is just to do the cover-up method like we did before, where you cover up the one you don't need and solve for the one you do need, which we'll practice in just a second. The big one is that shortcut for slope, the opposite of a divided by b. Makes your life so simple. So we're going to practice just a couple. So number one, you have the equation 2x minus 8y equals 16. It's definitely in standard form. I have all integers. The a value, the number in front of the x, is positive, and we're all good. So we're going to label what a, b, and c are. A is 2. B is negative 8 because there's a minus sign in front of that 8, and then c is 16. So to find the slope, I'm going to do the opposite of a divided by b. So the opposite of a would be negative 2, and b is negative 8. And when I do negative 2 divided by negative 8, I get 1/4. Don't convert that to 0.25. If you do 2 divided by 8, you will get 0.25, but slope is a ratio. The fraction works so much better for your rise over your run if you want to graph. So leave it as positive 1/4. The y-intercept, there's two ways to do it. I'll show you both of them. Option 1, we're going to do what I showed you, which is to do c divided by b. So in this case, I would do 16 divided by negative 8, which is negative 2. So my y-intercept is going to be at the point 0, negative 2. Or I can do the cover-up method. And so my equation is 2x minus 8y equals 16. And so if I wanted the y-intercept, I would get rid of the x part of that. And so I would do negative 8y equals 16, and I would solve that and get that y is equal to negative 2. I get the same answer. It just depends on whether you want, how you want to do it. I prefer the shortcut, but it doesn't matter to me. And then D, again, we have two methods for that one. Option 1 is the shortcut. Oh God, what was my shortcut? I know, it's all, my brain died. C divided by A, right? Yes.